Hi, but it's Jeff and hey, now you can see where my wall is. I can see the different walls here, so you can see where I am. Yeah, I'm in a restaurant. Those are cool walls, the zebra walls. So, what I want to do is give a short one here, a short video on the different types of machine translation, or I'm going to call this computer generated translation for people that don't know what machine translation is. Um, so automatic translation, machine computer generated translation, like Google Translate, okay, and all the different flavors and different brands and models and all that kind of stuff. That okay. Um, so I'm gonna walk through. I'm gonna point to a couple of you know papers or videos that you want to watch for a certain cup. I don't want to dig into everything. This is kind of an overview, and I'll point to a few other ones you want to dig more into to get to, uh, which will cover a few more things and help. And because this is a big topic. So I want to say that I did an initial one of my first presentation about this was well, yeah, it was at Localization World, Lock World, 2004 in Bonn, Germany. Okay, um, and I called it inbound and outbound translation. But what I did is I explained the different types of approaches to machine translation or automatic translation. Automatic translation, computer generated translation equals machine translation. That's the one that's been used a long time, and I kind of gets used to saying that when I'm talking to people I think are into translation. So I'll probably say machine translation or MT. I'm sorry, I kind of slip into this. When I'm talking with people that have no idea what it is, I'm into computer generated translation because I want to talk to them. I'm trying to keep it very, very simple. Okay. But my public here, my audience is a little more going to be usually a little more, aware. So the thing you want to download that presentation. I had a lot of images and stuff, and I'm not going to do it here because it's on a disk. I changed computers recently, so I got another disk, and when I pull the disk out, I can plug it into the wall, and you got to have a remote control to actually start the thing. So I'm not going to, it's just way too much to do it. It's faster to explain it. Um, so what I'm going to explain is kind of the 4 or 5 different approaches to it. Um, and then one or two things, and then I'll tell you to go read some and watch other things. Okay, that's what I'm going to do here. Make it simple. So one of the earliest ones, the types that we know about, um, I'm not going to need the details. I'm going to call it. It's just rule-based machine translation. And rule-based machine translation is simply you take grammar rules that are in all these grammar books and stuff on each language, and you code them into a system, and then you create some dictionaries, some standard dictionaries, and some kind of special domain dictionaries. You kind of prioritize them, and then you make the rules all work together with the dictionary items, okay? Verbs and nouns and adjectives and all kinds of stuff. That's rule based, okay? Pretty simple. And sometimes what happens is in a rule based one, you actually make it possible to create people can create their own dictionaries, so you can create custom vocabulary dictionaries, right? So for your own institutional vocabulary, or what do you want to call it? And so that's rule based, okay? So it's mixing grammar rules and a lexicon, a dictionary, kind of mix them together and make it all happen, okay? Because words fit into a sentence with grammar rules, okay? If we want to explain it simply. Um, then what came along was another type, which there have been very few examples of this. It's called knowledge based. KBMT. The first one was RBMT. Second one's called a KBMT, knowledge based machine translation. And there have been just a few of these. I'm going to name them. Um, the ones that we kind of know about. So there was one of the ones that's most known is the KANT system done by Carnegie Mellon University. That's I think that's Eric and Tariko, off the top of my head. So their project. So the Kant, just look up KANT Carnegie Mellon University, and you'll come to the page, and that's all there, all the papers and stuff. Okay, so it's kind of a semantic kind of interlingua, that's kind of an interlingua code kind of schema that allows you to do between different languages. Okay, I'm just going to kind of simplify it. I don't want to go into details because this is not the purpose of going into details. You got to go read all the stuff if you want to get more about it. So it kind of creates this interlingual one, interlingual, sorry. And what it does is it allows you to be able to cover languages that are kind of different. So it was possible for them to do like English and French and Japanese. Okay, so that's the kind of things they do that. Another type of knowledge-based kind of approach is a few of the Japanese machine translation systems have been around for a while. Fujitsu and all those kind of things. And there have been a few of them. I can't remember the name. I was actually looking at them. I was actually surveying them in 2000. Yeah, it was 2000. So, but I can't remember all the names of them right now because it's been so long ago and I don't have access to those files because I left the company and I don't remember exactly all the names. But I remember interviewing all those different companies and stuff and kind of surveying it. So, I could go find it, but that's not what I'm prepared to do right here. And then another one that's not known, and I'll shout out to CIMOS, CIMOS, based in France, in Paris. And they've got an Arabic with English and French semantic-based system that got an award in 2003 at one of the conferences in Paris because I was there. I remember it. I can't remember the name of the conference, but I remember when they got the award. So, and I spent some time talking to them afterwards. And they're kind of behind the scenes. They're doing kind of custom stuff, and just they're not visible, but they're doing something that's kind of cool. So, Arabic and French and English, that's not the easiest one to do, not the easiest language to do. So, they've got something happen. They just don't, not that visible. They're not visible. That's okay. They choose to be that way. So, there's that. So those are kind of the language that are doing the knowledge-based machine translation, and that kind of the set of them that are known. Okay, and they tend to take long-term. They're meaning really long-term stuff. So that's that's just, you don't pop it off like that because you got to create this interlingua to make it all do this. Okay, not trying to go into details. You want to read those papers. Spend time reading the papers. Okay, but not very many have been built. So. So it's kind of, it's a bit more, it's a long investment. Okay. The other ones that came along so what happened during that time too is you had what's called example-based machine translation. Now the sexy name that came out with this, hey, translation memory, that's the sexy name for it. Hey, doesn't that count? That just sounds like, wow, great. This example-based machine translation. Now, most of the things we're using today that we call translation memories are working on this example-based machine translation people of the system. But all the translators in the world, all the freelancers said, this is an MT. Yes, it is. It's called example-based. It's pretty much the same principle. It's the same principle. And all you translators are saying, no, it's not MT. It is MT. And all you people that sign NDAs saying you can't use MT, but you're using translation memories, you're using MT. And you're being bluffed, okay? So you're actually you're breaching the NDA, okay? And if you're make people sign an NDA that says you can't use MT, and you're making them work TMs, then you're breaching your own NDA that you're telling people to sign, okay? That's the way it is. And don't tell me that it's not example-based, because it is, because I've written lots of papers about this, okay? So, yeah. I've written lots of papers about this, yeah, so, okay. Especially I wrote one on authoring memory. It's the other side of it, okay? Fuzzy matches, example-based, okay? So what it works, it's examples, not dictionaries, it's not statistical, it's example-based. Strings, phrase strings, chunks, lexical chunks, whatever you want to call it. Got lots of words. I can give you lots. I can spend 20 minutes. I can give you a bunch of things and just bombard you with all this linguistic stuff. You're going to hate me. So example-based, accept it, folks. It's empty. It's empty. It's a type of empty, okay? One type. And the translation TM has caught on as a pretty cool sounding name, okay? And that's been around for a while. And not sure who came up with it, but everybody's been benefiting from that, and it sounds really cool. And then you had the word CAT came on, computer assisted translation or computer aided translation. Everybody calls the CAT tools, and it's pretty much just example-based machine translation in an interface, okay, of some kind of interface, whatever, okay. That's your authoring, your translation environment. Okay, it's example based. That's the third one. So rule based, RBMT, KBMT, knowledge based, example based. Okay, those are the three. Then came around about 2000. Some of the research institutes, kind of top ones, you know, ISI in California, Carnegie Mellon, a few others were doing statistical based, and that's called SBMT or SMT. Doesn't matter if you get the based or not, but it's SMT. Okay, and those kind of caught on commercially about 2003-ish, okay, with Language Weaver, and then others kind of caught on, and then everybody kind of started the open source Moses open source machine translation kit and stuff, and that's kind of had its period of time that's was used, and that's where you had to go corpora. It's no longer dictionaries. No, actually, it's not linguistic. Okay, it's just n-grams, character strings of 2 and 3 characters. Okay, simplify this. Okay, and how this probability of all these strings that you have that have certain characters that are all the same, and how your reoccurrences and repetitions of those based on types and tokens. Okay, if you don't know what those words are, look it up. Okay, so types are the unique occurrences of a string, and then tokens are the number of repeated ones. If I want to make it simple, okay, I'm just trying to make it simple for those of you who don't know. Okay, then what happened was the hybrid came to come up, and there were lots of different names for these things, and that was kind of during the 2005-ish to about 2005, about 2008, 2008 goes after 2006, about 2008 to about 2015. A lot of these hybrid things, depending on if you had a main approach and you had a secondary approach. Okay, so it's like a Carnegie Mellon on our diplomat project, we're doing statistical plus example based. Okay, and then you've got other ones like Systran during their version. After the version 6, it was after version 6, probably somewhere like version 7, 2009-ish, they started doing they still had the rule-based system, but they had some statistical-based pre-processing. Okay, so that's how they're doing hybrid. Okay, and then you had others that were doing mainly statistical-based, but they might be adding some post-processing on with some linguistic stuff. So it kind of depends on which is your main one, and then what's your secondary one, and where do you put kind of the process of making it. And so what you do is Chris Hogan and I, we made this automated post editor, APE, in 2000, and so that's kind of, we were adding some post processing on top of, we were doing kind of, you think you could take a rule based system and you kind of add this little module on top of something afterwards, but it's looking for patterns. So, we could say it's example-based or even statistical-based, kind of depending on what you want to call it, okay? So that little post editor module would have kind of been kind of a hybrid too. So I'm just trying to simplify it. I'm not trying to get into details here, because we could get into the geeky details and really have a debate and have a roundtable, and that'd be great, and I think it would be great, but that's not what I'm trying to do here. Just trying to simplify it to all you that don't understand all these different things and say that they don't exist. And during that time, there's a lot of some that call it, rather than calling it hybrid, some call it hybrid, and then some call it multi-engine MT, so MEMT. That was another way to say it. And then about 2015, the whole neural machine translation came out, NMT, and that has. So the statistic was taking a big corpora. Got to have lots of corpora, just lots of occurrence, and we'll try to find the patterns. Okay, the string, those n-grams. Okay, character strings. And then neural machine translation kind of went beyond that, because it wanted to kind of break the linguistic analysis stuff, because the statistical didn't have any linguistic analysis in principle, unless you added another other type of system on top of it. Or added it to another one. Okay, so neural got to the point where we started getting into things in these formulas that people don't know how it already works, except the people that are doing it. And so there's a lot of people making them and trying to figure out how it works. And then a lot of us that are using it are saying, we're not sure how it works, but we're trying to figure out why it works. Okay, so I'm kind of trying to make it fun, because a lot of people's trying to tell guess how it works. This is kind of weird. I will admit, some of the stuff reading that, I'm saying, woo-wee. Okay, boy. Okay, I'll let you guys read that. Let you guys kind of play with it. Let me implement it. Okay, so that's the mathematical formulas. It's pretty intense. Okay, let's say that. And still, people are trying to figure out how it's actually working, because it kind of does things different. The way it's working is trying to make it like the brain. Okay, so neural, and so it's kind of a mystery to a lot of people how it's working, even to the people, the computational linguistics that are using it, the linguists that are using it. There's some things they're saying, we're trying to figure out why it's doing this, why it's doing that. Sometimes it kind of works differently. So it's kind of a surprise effect. Okay, then and you can have hybrid of that too, kind of things. And now we're trying to bring linguistics back into how can we override these different systems with some linguistics. How can you pump the linguistics? We need to put these NMT, these neural-based and statistical-based systems on steroids by giving linguistic, information. Because the problem is you want to have these named entities like person, places, and things that you got. That's most of the systems get stuck with. It's just vocabulary, business vocabulary, jargon, company jargon, whatever you want to call it, institutional vocabulary. So, person, place, the things, named entities, terminology. Okay, so that kind of gives you an overview of all the different flavors. So those are all the different flavors of machine translation or approaches. And then you got brands. Okay, the companies that are doing it with their branded name of, this is our branded name of this. And I mean, I can name a bunch of companies here that are all kind of doing this. But I've kind of pointed to a few. And I'm not going to go into all of them because, I could stay here all day and you don't want to listen because it's just too long. But these are kind of the things. And so that will help you be able to read that localization world paper, the kind of the PowerPoint on inbound and outbound translation. And then what I talked about is each of those can be non-customized or, we call this usually vanilla or generic kind of vanilla flavor. It's like you can't customize it. So it's just what it is. You got what you got. It's Google. Can't touch it. You can make some comments, but you can't play with it. And then you have customized versions that you can actually customize it to a certain extent, more and more. So you get uncustomizable and then customizable of each of those flavors. Okay. This is getting to be like a kind of a colored snow cone that's got all the different flavors, right? Or an ice cream that you have like different flavors all kind of added up onto it. So, got to make it fun. Got to make that visual here. So those are all the different versions. Those are different types. And so there's no best ones. They all have their pros and cons. And so I'd say if you want to watch a couple of things or read a couple of things specifically, watch my authoring memory one, and I get 2 videos on authoring memory. One's about the general one and one's about just the examples. Watch that. And then if you want to watch another one about kind of the mistakes or the things, I can't remember the exact ones, but when we switched from rule-based MT to statistical-based MT or SMT and NMT. I made a video specifically about that, the switch over and the mistakes or the mistakes. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's up on my YouTube channel. Just look up RBMT on my YouTube channel. Bam, you'll find it. So, and read that because I actually talk about where the statistical systems would not be favorable to some contexts, and I would rather use the rule-based period, even if it's not scalable for it, it's usable and it's totally perfect for kind of the situation I was explaining. Okay, and then if you want to watch a couple others, read my thing on my atypical machine translation implementations. So just look up that atypical on my YouTube channel. That'll be for atypical. And I had a couple different videos about inbound and outbound. So just look up the word inbound or outbound or inward or outward. You'll come on a couple of my videos about that. And I had one, I think another one, kind of one that gives a lot of other examples is has some objects and stuff. Is the one just look up like Google Translate and Skype. Just look up Skype and you'll find that you'll get my video where I'm sitting with my guitars and behind me, and I'm using cameras and stuff and telephones to example. Just look up Skype and it's called Google Skype, and my opinion on Google Skype and whatever Microsoft Translate or something, but it's version 3. But just look up the word Skype and you'll find it on my YouTube channel. Those should kind of give you a good overview, a really good overview of different links. I'm trying to explain this thing. I'm trying to give you just a general overview, okay? An umbrella. You can gotta dig down, navigate. And that'll help out to begin to dig down to figure out. And yeah, the rest of the stuff is more detailed. And then you can do post editing with pretty much any of these things. You can do pre-editing and post-editing with pretty much all these things. It has different effects, okay? And I've done some PowerPoints and that. And I've got some things I haven't even published yet because it's been internal stuff and I can't give it away. So I'm trying to figure out how to get that one out. So I got a couple of them I really want to talk about because I want to show what I did. So maybe I'm going to try to get that one out. I got to get some approvals. So I want to give that one. I want to share that one. So I'm working on that. Couple in 2015 actually. It's been a while. And then yeah, so those are much the most of them. And a lot of things I've done have been on rule based, just because I made it really productive, really efficient, productive. The whole statistical thing is like you got to have data, and if you don't have data, well, I just want to work. If you don't have data, you start with scratch. So it's like example based. You got to have data from scratch, and it's a translation memory. And the statistical one, you got to have a lot of data to start with. So in some cases I had the data, in some cases I didn't. So I wanted to kind of work on it. So I've worked on these different ones in different situations. So that's why but I'll have other videos coming about kind of why I did certain ways and certain things. But so that I think should help understand. Okay, hope it does. Let me know if this has been helpful. And it's been helpful for me to explain it. So great. Have a good day, and sign off from McDonald's. Got my coffee cup here. I'm doing it. So.